I froze in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, the hospital bracelet still clinging to my wrist like a shackle. The room was unrecognizable, a gut punch of change. The sage green walls I'd painstakingly painted were now smothered in garish pink wallpaper, screaming for attention. My photos, my memories, had disappeared, replaced by smug portraits of my sister-in-law Zira staring me down. Worst of all, my bed. My sanctuary, that pricey memory foam mattress, was drowning under a mess of glitzy pillows and ridiculous unicorn toys, mocking me with every glittery stitch. If you love stories of resilience, reclaiming justice with style, and rediscovering your worth, hit that subscribe button for Graceful Revenge now. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Let's dive into the power of elegant revenge and life's deepest lessons together. "This is her room now," my mother-in-law Vela said with a smirk. She stood behind Zira, resting her hands on her shoulders like she had won something. "We thought it was time for some changes." I stood still, careful not to hurt my stomach, which was still healing from surgery. I had just spent a week in the hospital after an emergency operation. Coming home to this was a shock, but maybe I should have expected it. "Interesting timing," I said calmly, though my mind was racing. This wasn't just about a room. Vila had been trying to push me out of this house for years. Zira spun around in my grandmother's old vanity chair. "Mom thought this would be perfect for me while I look for a job in the city," she said sweetly. "It's so much better than that tiny guest room." I saw Vela watching my reaction in the mirror. She had never liked me. In her eyes, I wasn't good enough for her son, Thane. I didn't come from a wealthy family, and no matter how hard I worked, she never respected me. "And where are my things?" I asked, already guessing the answer. "Oh, we put them in the basement," Vila said. "Most of it was old anyway. Zira needs space." I nodded, trying to stay calm. "And Thane? What does he think about this?" Zira hesitated, but Vela spoke quickly. "Thane understands that family helps each other. Zira is going through a tough time right now." By tough time, she meant Zira had cheated on her fiancé and got kicked out of her apartment. But Vela always defended her daughter. I stepped further into the room, feeling the stitches in my stomach pulse slightly. "Well, this is unexpected," I said, "but timing is everything." Vela's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" I smiled, but not kindly. "Nothing, just something to think about." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, Zira, be careful with that vanity. The left drawer sticks sometimes." As I walked downstairs, I heard them whispering behind me. They thought they had won, that I would give up, but they had no idea what was coming. I sat down in my home office, the one room they hadn't touched. My laptop was right where I had left it. Good. This room held all the important documents, and I had been preparing for something like this for months. I opened my email. 3 days, that's all I needed. I had set this plan in motion long ago after Vela's last attempt to control my life. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Thane. "Just heard from Mom. Hope you're okay with the room situation. Zira really needs our support right now." I stared at the message, feeling a mix of disappointment and determination. Thane always tried to please everyone, but this time he had made the wrong choice. "It's fine," I texted back. "Everything is exactly where it needs to be." I pulled out a folder from my safe, running my fingers over the important papers inside. The house deed, insurance documents, and the one paper that would change everything. 3 days, I whispered to myself. Just 3 days. Upstairs, Zira laughed loudly as she rearranged more furniture. Let them enjoy this moment. In 3 days, they would realize they had made a huge mistake. The next morning, I woke up on the couch in the living room. Loud music blasted from upstairs. Zira's music. My stomach hurt as I sat up, a painful reminder that I was still healing. Still, I was determined to see this through. Vela had always underestimated my resolve. She saw kindness as weakness, patience as passivity. She didn't know I had quietly planned for this exact scenario. I got up carefully and walked to the kitchen, feeling each step tug slightly at my stitches. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, offering a comforting start to the day. As I sipped my coffee, I reviewed my plan again. Every detail had been checked, every move calculated. They believed they had taken control of my life, that they had managed to push me aside. However, they hadn't counted on my strength or my preparation. Thane was always caught between his mother's demands and our marriage. He often struggled to balance family loyalty with his own happiness. I had hoped he would stand by me, yet here I was, feeling abandoned. But this wasn't just about Thane anymore. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my home. I glanced at my phone again, reassuring myself. The messages from my lawyer confirmed everything was proceeding smoothly. I felt calmness wash over me, knowing that soon justice would be served. Vila had orchestrated this entire episode, confident she had pushed me out. Zira basked in her mother's manipulative triumph, unaware they were both setting themselves up for a major fall. My kindness was mistaken for weakness far too long. Now it was time for them to experience consequences for their actions. I took another sip of coffee, smiling to myself. Just 3 days, and everything would change. Vila and Zira had no idea of the storm that was about to hit them. I was supposed to be resting. Instead, I was stuck here while Zira took over my bedroom. Vela walked in, dressed in her fancy clothes. "Oh, good, you're awake. Zira needs to use the shower, so you'll have to wait." I checked my phone. It was 7:15 a.m., just 2 days and 16 hours left. "Actually," I said, standing up slowly, "I have an appointment this morning." Vela frowned. "An appointment? Shouldn't you be resting?" "It's just a quick meeting with my lawyer. Nothing too tiring." I kept my voice light. Vela's face changed for a second. Was that fear? But she quickly covered it up. "Lawyer? What lawyer?" "Oh, just updating some documents after my hospital stay. Normal stuff." I grabbed my things, enjoying the way she shifted uncomfortably. As I walked toward the door, Vela called after me. "Does Thane know about this?" I turned back and smiled. "He will." At the law office, my friend Patricia was waiting. She had known me since college and had seen enough of Vela's behavior to understand the situation. "Everything's ready," Patricia said, sliding the folder across the desk. "Are you sure?" "Once we file these, there's no going back." I looked through the papers. "They took over my bedroom while I was in the hospital, Patty. If I don't stop them now, they won't stop until I'm completely pushed out. And Thane is still refusing to stand up to them." I sighed deeply. "He thinks if he ignores the problem, it'll go away, but this time, he's wrong." Patricia nodded solemnly. "All right, I'll file these today. They'll get the notification in about 48 hours. "Perfect." When I got home, Zira was on my couch, surrounded by expensive shopping bags. She didn't even look up from her phone. "Mom said you went to see a lawyer," she said, pretending not to care but clearly curious. "Just routine paperwork," I said, heading to my office. I had to check if Phase 2 was ready. "You know," Zira called after me, "Mom thinks you're planning something, but it won't work. This is our house now." I stopped at my office door. "Our house?" "Yeah," she said smugly. "Mom says Thane is the only one with a real career, so technically everything belongs to him, and we're his real family." I thought about the documents Patricia was filing, the plan I had set in motion months ago. "Interesting," I said before closing the door behind me. That evening, Thane finally came home. He found me in my office, working on my laptop. "Hey," he said, hesitating. "Mom said you went to see a lawyer." I looked up at him, really looked at him. My husband of 5 years. The man who never stood up to his mother. The man who let his sister take over our bedroom. Yes, I did. He ran a hand through his hair, looking nervous. "Look, I know the bedroom situation isn't great, but it's only temporary. Zaira is going through a rough time." I cut him off sharply. "When I was in the hospital, did you know what they were planning?" His silence told me everything. "Right," I said, turning back to my laptop. "You should know things are going to change soon." "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice uneasy. "In 36 hours, your mother and sister are going to learn some interesting things about property ownership and legal rights." He tried to laugh nervously. "Come on, you're overreacting. Mom's just helping Zaira get back on her feet." I shut my laptop and stood up, feeling the stitches pull slightly. "No, Thane, your mother is trying to push me out, and you're letting her. But what none of you know is that I've been keeping records. Every time they moved my things, every manipulative comment, every attempt to take over. And in 36 hours, all of it is going to matter." His face paled. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe you should tell them to start packing, because when those papers arrive, everything will change." "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice shook. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick envelope. "Remember last year when your mom tried to sell my grandmother's antiques while we were on vacation? That's when I started preparing. This has everything." Thane stared at the envelope, realizing the seriousness of the situation. The evidence was undeniable, and he knew it. For once, he seemed genuinely unsure of what to say or do. The reality of his family's betrayal was finally sinking in. "It's not too late," I said softly but firmly. "But soon it will be." He looked at me, real fear in his eyes. "What do you want me to do?" "Stand up for me," I said simply. "Tell your mother and Zaira this stops now, or face the consequences." Thane took a shaky breath, nodding slowly. "All right," he whispered. "I'll talk to them." I watched him leave the room, knowing this battle was far from over, but for the first time, I felt hope. Justice was coming, and this time, I was ready. Photos, videos, legal documents. In 36 hours, it all becomes public record. Thane looked at the envelope, then at me. For the first time, he looked truly afraid. "What have you done?" he whispered. I sat back down, calm and in control. "I protected myself, since you wouldn't." The letter arrived exactly when Patricia said it would. I was in my office when I heard Vila's loud, angry voice. "What is this? What have you done?" I walked into the living room. Vela stood there shaking, holding the papers. Zaira was nearby, looking pale. Thane sat on the couch, his head in his hands. "Oh, good," I said calmly. "You got the notice." Vela's hands trembled. This says that I own this house," I finished for her. "Yes, it does." Zaira gasped. "That's impossible." "This is Thane's house." I shook my head. "No, it's not. Last year, when Vela tried to sell my grandmother's antiques, I realized I needed to protect myself. So, I bought Thane's share of the house. He signed the papers himself." Thane lifted his head, his face pale. "The refinancing documents, the ones you said were just updating our mortgage?" "Exactly," I said. "You signed over your part of the house to me. It's all legal. Even your mother signed as a witness." Vela's face turned white. "I never signed." "Check page 3, I said calmly. CWR under witness. Remember when you rushed to sign those HOA papers I brought home? You should have read them more carefully. They all went silent. I finally had them. I had outsmarted them. I crossed my arms. The second set of papers lists every time you damaged my property, including taking over my bedroom. You can't kick us out, Zira yelled. We're family. Actually, I can, and I am, I said firmly, glancing at my watch. You have 24 hours to leave. Anything left behind will be thrown out. Vela turned to Thane. Are you just going to let her do this to us? Thane sat still, finally understanding everything. You planned this, he said softly. No, I corrected him. I prepared. That's different. I hoped I wouldn't have to do this. But when your mother and sister took over our bedroom while I was in the hospital, they crossed the line. Vela scoffed. We were trying to help. No, you were trying to push me out, I said. You've been trying since the day I married Thane, but I'm not someone you can bully away. I worked hard for this house, and I protected myself. I took out my phone. The police are on speed dial. You can leave now, or they can remove you in 24 hours. Your choice. Zira burst into tears and ran upstairs. Vila stood frozen, still gripping the papers. This isn't over, she hissed. It is, I said firmly. And if you ever step onto my property again without permission, I'll press charges. I have years of proof. After they left, Thane and I sat in silence. I'll pack my things too, he finally said. Probably best, I replied quietly. The divorce papers are in that pile. Patricia will contact your lawyer. He looked at me, half admiring, half regretful. You really planned for everything. I had to, I said softly. You weren't going to protect me, so I protected myself. That night, I lay in my own bed, finally at peace. The off-pink wallpaper was already peeling, revealing my sage green paint underneath. Tomorrow, I'd start fixing everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Papers filed. You're officially free. I smiled. Vila and Zira had thought they could take everything from me, but their biggest mistake had been underestimating me. The next morning, sunlight filled my room. The house was quiet. I opened a stuck drawer on my vanity, the one they had complained about. Inside were the property documents that had sealed their fate. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's being smart, protecting yourself, and knowing when to walk away. As I pulled down the ugly wallpaper, I smiled. They had celebrated too soon, but I would celebrate the right way, by rebuilding my life exactly how I wanted. My home was mine again, and nothing could change that now. I took a deep breath, feeling freedom and confidence wash over me. I had learned to value myself, to trust my strength. No one could ever take that away from me again. With each strip of wallpaper I tore down, I reclaimed my space, my dignity, and my future, one piece at a time.